Hey everyone, my name is David Meyer. Welcome back to First Time Reefer TV, and today we are going to discuss the cycle that's happening on my tank, but at the same time I'm going to take this opportunity to give you guys a tank update on where everything is before I've actually got to this cycle. So with the cycling, we are going to use the Dr. Tim's method and go through some of the intricacies involved with that, but let's take you down to the sump now and show you some of the live running gear. Live gear, life support. Life support is what I'm showing you. Check it out. All right, so as you guys can see here, I have got my biomedia already in my chambers. So this section here, we're running balls and the water is designed to flow through the media and back up. And over on this side, we are running the bricks. That is designed for the water to go over the top. My understanding is having two different colonies of bacteria, slow flow and high flow, will actually produce better bacteria. I don't know if that's actually true, but I'm going to give it a shot. But it gives me a heap of area to put biomedia into the system, purely because the tank is bare bottom and pretty minimal rock as well. And check out that flow, by the way, from the Deltec pumps and the random flow generators. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked. So the media I've got in here, I'll quickly show you guys. On this side is the AMS bioculture balls. This is from my homeboy Jack Tanner at Williamstown Aquarium. These balls, if you can see in there, are just a inert ceramic material. They've got an incredible volume of surface area in them, and they are absolutely rock hard. I've used marine pure spheres and blocks in the past, and unfortunately over time they just crumble far too much, and every time you mess about in your sump it just crushes, and next thing you know it's covered all over your display. So in this chamber, here's the balls, and on the other side, I'll just get you this one, these bricks. So I've currently got about 10 or so in there. I've actually got some in this one, so I'll open it up quickly just to show you guys. That's how they come in the box. As you can hear, they are rock solid. This is the makeup of them. They're just tiny little spheres that just creates a huge amount of surface area for bacteria to colonize on. And they just literally don't break. And these are incredibly well priced. I think these are about $40 or thereabouts a pop, and the competitors are twice that price for the exact same material. So if you guys are after any biomedia, make sure you hit up Jack Tanner. He sent this package with adult toys as a description on the box, and I was wondering why the delivery driver gave me a bit of a funny look. But unfortunately, for some reason or another, I made a mistake, I think, with the measurements that I gave to Eric to cut out for the holes to hold these bricks. So I've had to flip this over as a temporary fix, but Eric, I'm going to give you a call and speak to you about that and see what we can do. But yeah, so the water flows over from that side through the skimmer chamber, which we'll touch on in a second, through this chamber, back up a baffle that flows across the top, and then into this chamber. That has a little heater rack, but I'm not going to be using that because I'm chosen to go for a different option to heat and chill this tank. And then from there, it goes around the back. So that's the media. I'm probably actually going to get a little bit more into the chamber there as well, just due to the lack of rock and sand in this tank. So I've got to make up the surface area somewhere. So yeah, plenty of media. These come in two big baskets as well with the handle, so I can give them a shake if I need to clean them out a little bit, or I can actually just physically take the entire basket out as well, with all the media held inside there with no problems at all. So really handy to have baskets like that if you can. Over here we have the skimmer that I've decided to go with. This is the GW30 Great White Skimmer. And it's probably not going to do any justice because the amount of water that's running through here at the moment. I'll tell you why I've taken out the filter socks. But if you guys can see there, so this is running on a system that's got slightly lower salinity at the moment, but it's still skimming like a beast. It's got the neck ring silencer here, which gives you dual control on the amount of airflow that you need into the tank. It's got a beautiful long hose so you can drain the cup. Really easy to adjust dial. This is a very easy skimmer to tune. It's incredibly silent, and I think honestly this one is the best one yet that I've seen performance-wise. If you have a look at the motion inside the chamber then, and just keep in mind that this is lower salinity water, so the water makeup is different, and it's only going to get better as I increase the salinity. But have a look at that swirling action. This is gorgeous, and that swirling action continues all the way up the body. You can see there. And I did a test with this in a bucket, which I'll just roll over here, but poured some Skimmate into a container and started this up for the first time, and it frothed up like a beast. So I have no doubt whatsoever this is going to be more than capable to handle the load that's on my tank. And it actually runs an 8,000 litre per hour pump, which is bigger again than I think the GW22 that they currently have. I believe this is the only one in Australia. So I'm pretty chuffed to have this on my system. It stands about 800 tall, so it is a big unit. And the footprint's I think about 250 by 260 or thereabouts. So it is a tight fit to get to the top there, just to get in. Probably got about an inch. But more than enough because I've got a twist cup to take it off. Not one of those suction cups, so you just twist it and lift the lid off. There's no problems at all. So now we've got the roller mats here. They're looking a little bit worse for wear because I literally just ripped them out. But this has been doing an incredible job of pulling some gunk out of the tank. I love my roller mats from Hamali, Australia. And obviously they fit like a glove into the sump here. So going on to why I've pulled the roller mats out, because we're doing the cycle and I don't want the roller mats to pull out the bacteria. I want everything to stay in the tank. I've just turned the skimmer on for the video, but the skimmer's going to go off as well. Because you don't want to remove any of the bacteria from the water. I don't want to remove any nitrates or phosphates or anything like that. I want to have all the nastiness inside, so then it can cycle. So we'll just put the camera back up now, and I'll show you. Love you guys. Paul Twin Tran artwork out the back corner there. If you guys haven't seen this, make sure you get onto it. Hit up Paul Twin Tran. He does some incredible artwork. That's customized UV 3D. I actually should do a video to show you guys about that, but let's flip this out. I'm going to go through the process of my cycle. So I have taken some notes. Now, for the full presentation, be sure to head over to the Bulk Reef Supply YouTube channel, or just search Tim Hovanac, who is Dr. Tim's himself, Tim Hovanac, MACNA. He did a presentation over there that absolutely blew my mind and changed the way I've decided to actually cycle this tank. So we got the Dr. Tim's one and only live nitrifying bacteria to help kickstart this cycle. I've got another couple of things that I'll be adding to the tank as well, just to really, really help it along. But essentially, this is just live nitrifying bacteria in a bottle. A lot of people say, well, bacteria can't live in a bottle, and Dr. Tim says, well, bacteria that's dormant doesn't need any oxygen because they don't have lungs, they don't need to breathe. So they only become active once you've actually put it into salt water and they come alive, and then they start processing ammonia. So I'm just going to read off some of my notes here because there's a few points that I really didn't want to miss. So they only need oxygen to process ammonia, and the one thing I didn't realize is the bacteria growth actually happens slower in salt water than it does in a lower salinity water, because the bacteria actually spends its time maintaining its shape against the salt water, and it actually slows down the energy that they use to multiply and just keep multiplying in your tank. So that I thought was incredibly interesting. So the tip number one from Dr. Tim's on how to quickly cycle your tank is to lower your salinity down to 18 to 20 parts per thousand. The marine specific bacteria can live in a relatively low salinity, I think down to like 10 parts per thousand, but the freshwater one just can't at all. So yeah, a quick way for your bacteria to cycle really quickly and multiply fast is to lower your salinity, which I've done. So this tank here is currently sitting at about 1.015, I think it is. Literally just one bag of salt, which I got a full waft of it into my face when I poured it into the tank, full YOLO styles. And that's just basically half of what I need for the tank now. Let's see. I mean, I wrote down a lot of notes here, but I'm not going to go through it in detail because I highly suggest, if you guys want to learn more about cycling your tank quickly, to jump over and check out that. But the bacteria that process ammonia versus the bacteria that processes nitrite multiply at a different speed as well. So the guys that can process ammonia multiply much faster, and the guys that process nitrite multiply much slower. So the problem there is, if you keep just dumping in ammonia until it goes to zero, but you don't get any nitrite readings, and you just continue to dose the ammonia, then you're going to actually stall your cycle, because the bacteria can't multiply fast enough to process the nitrite, and they end up dying and just feeding back to the ammonia guys. So that's how you stall your cycle, and I think that's where a lot of people run into problems of going through an extremely long cycle, because you just keep adding ammonia because you think, yeah, okay, well, it's going to process the nitrite, process the ammonia and go to nitrite very soon, and it doesn't. You just keep adding. You don't have to feed your ammonia every day to the tank, because they will not starve to death overnight. As Dr. Tim says, it doesn't need to eat 3 times a day, and their growth is actually inhibited above 5 parts per million. So tip number 2 is to keep both your ammonia and nitrite below 5 parts per million. Now, they're moving on to bacteria lives in surfaces, not water. So as you can see, why I've got so much media, and I am adding more to the media section. Because I've got such minimal rock and no sand in this tank whatsoever, there's really a reduced amount of surface area for the bacteria to adhere to. So that's why I've got a huge amount of bacteria there to seed. And then once that's seeded and the tank's running, if the tank is running extremely low nutrient and I can't get it up, if I can't get the nutrients up, I'll actually probably remove some of the media or add more fish, one or the other, just so I can work out what the load is that I need to get the right balance between media and nutrients. So another interesting thing is there is actually very, very few bacteria that's living in old tank water. So the whole notion of putting old tank water into a new tank, you're actually not bringing any bacteria over to your tank, which blew my mind, because I thought old tank water was perfect to start a new system with, to give it that kickstart. But he's done a lot of research and said there's actually no bacteria that lives in water. So that was very interesting. And the water needs to be able to flow through the media. So as I've got the section there where the water flows through the media, and the other section that flows over the top. So tip number 3 is to provide enough surface area for your tank, for your bacteria. So generally, if you're starting out in the hobby, I would suggest to definitely start with a sand substrate down the bottom. I know that this tank's going to be incredibly difficult to manage for the first 12 months, but once that system maturity happens, I think in the long run, because it's just not trapping any detritus in the tank, in the long run it's going to pay dividends. So I'm pretty excited about that, but not looking forward to the next 12 months. Now also, it's really important to eliminate the competition in your system. So the heterotroph bacteria, which I think is your algae bacteria, makes the water cloudy. They multiply much faster compared to your nitrifying bacteria. So you've got to make sure you don't fuel the heterotrophs for them to compete with your nitrifying bacteria. So as you can see up here, can you see? Oh, we can sort of, right? There's no lights running on this tank. I've got 0 lights at all. Even when the lights do come, I will install them, get them programmed, but I'll probably only run them when I'm standing here to have a look at it. So light fuels those heterotrophs, and that's how you end up with the cloudy water and that bacteria. And when bacteria multiplies, the process consumes phosphate. So you need phosphate in the system, and I think it naturally just has a little bit of phosphate in there anyway. But if you have the heterotrophs, they're going to outcompete the nitrophone bacteria by using up all the phosphate that's available in the tank. Hence, I took out the filter socks and I'm turning off the skimmer. So it's really important that you don't fuel that for them to outcompete the nitrophone bacteria. So tip number 4 is don't promote your competitors, cycle with your lights off. And as a part of that, which means obviously at the start of your tank, don't set up GFO because you don't want to suck out that phosphate out of the system. And don't dose carbon sources like sugar and vodka that promote that heterotrophic bacteria that'll outcompete your nitrophone bacteria. Now moving on to the next one, bacteria multiply faster at higher temperatures. So any temperatures from 25 to 30 promote faster multiplication. So I'm going to install the heater on this tank and chiller on this tank, but we've been fortunate to have some pretty warm weather here in Melbourne, and this room, I don't have a curtain up, so it heats up very warm. So you can touch the water, and it's pretty warm at the moment. So I'm tipping this is probably about 26, 27 degrees, and it maintains that because the room is pretty well insulated with all the heat. So 25 to 30 degrees, the bacteria grows faster. So tip number 5 is to increase the temperature of your tank when you don't have livestock to help with that quick multiplication of bacteria. And then after your cycling is finished, decrease your temperature of the tank slowly over a number of days, maybe like a degree every 2 or so days, and until you get to the temperature that you want to run your tank at. So that's the tip number 5, increase your temperature. So, to sum it all up, cycle with your lights off. Lights promote algae, and algae will take out all the phosphate in your system. It's probably one of the most important ones. Just turn on the lights when you actually want to have a look at your tank, but don't leave them running on a set schedule. You need substrate for your bacteria to adhere to, or grow on, or populate. If you're using live sand, which I thought was interesting, because the bacteria has been there for God knows how long, measure your ammonia before adding ammonium chloride to the tank, because whatever's died in there will probably have an ammonia source already, and that live sand having that ammonia source in there might actually be enough to get you to that 4 to 5 ppm without you needing to add anything to the tank, and that's if you're cycling with substrate. Don't dose more than 4 parts per million ammonia to the tank, and it's best to add it over several times across the day rather than just a big dump of ammonia into the tank. Don't have to dose ammonia every day because you want to make sure that your nitrite can catch up and the bacteria can catch up and process all of that nitrite. Yeah, so just remember, the bacteria won't starve. The nitrophone bacteria that processes ammonia won't starve, but you do obviously need to keep it going at some stage, but let your nitrite catch up. And I would just use an API test kit in this instance. You don't really need to necessarily look at the numbers too closely as long as it's below that 5 ppm. But essentially it's just, is it present or is it absent? And that'll give you the indication of what your system is doing. So I'm going to do a pretty lengthy cycle on this, even though we're going through a quick process before adding any coral to this tank. But I'd love for the cycling process to be over so then I can start getting some fish into this tank. And then we can install the rest of the stuff in here. A lot of people have been asking, am I adding any more rock to these structures? And the answer is 100% yes, I am adding more rock to this tank. But I did want to get this rock in here first. I wanted to start placing some coral. And then once I can visualize how the scape looks and how the tank looks with coral in there, then I can work out what other structures I can add to this and what sort of heights I'm looking at. Are there certain areas that look like they need to be filled in with some of the Marco shelf rock? But yeah, definitely I will be adding more. And obviously as this system matures and the SPS grow, they're going to hopefully grow out to pretty big colonies, and that's going to take up a lot of space too. But I suppose I don't need to worry about that till 2 years or 3 years down the track once this system is fully mature. But it is something I do need to keep in mind, and it's incredibly hard to hold back on your rock structure because, banish the rock wall, right? So trying to hold back and just making sure I've got just enough in there to get me through is really important, but I will 100% be adding more rock to this system. So I've got a couple of other goodies that I've still yet to install, which I can probably quickly show you there. My calcium reactor, got a UV sterilizer on the other side. on the other side. I've got a chiller heater combo coming as well, which is a pretty big job to install, but we're going to definitely get that one done. And then I've got my lights coming in, which I'm really excited about. And then I was going to hold off on setting up the tank over here, but you know what? I'm just going to punch a hole through that wall. Don't tell my wife. Plumb it to the other tank, and I might as well just set the tank up in here so it's ready to go, and then I don't have to move it in future, because moving a tank's absolutely a pain in the behind. So a lot of stuff still to come. If you guys got any questions about this cycle, please be sure to leave a comment down below. If you haven't liked this video, smash that thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please smash that subscribe button, because there's plenty of content and some awesome stuff coming for this tank that you really don't want to miss. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like I said, any questions, leave a comment down below, but shout out to Dr. Tim's for all that incredible information. I'm going to link that video in the comment section down below as well. I'm going to highly recommend that you guys check it after you've watched all of this video and subscribed. And also probably hit that notification bell too, because you want to get notified when my video is getting out. Right? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. My friends, until next time, peace! So we're just outside here in my wife's beautiful garden that she's got growing all of the healthy veggies for us. And I'm just at the tap here. I want to show you her. Oh. Okay, I just want to show you guys how porous this media is. So, on the top there. Flowing through the top. And we've got the tank up, the tap up against it. It sits there, but it does go through. This is brand new. This has not been soaked in water. This is just straight out of the box, just like that. Once